So I saw this fight on Reddit, and I'm going to use this as a time to explain just how strong Destiny really is, but this video is mainly going to focus on the Hive. So one thing about the Viltrumites is that we know they're extremely fast and extremely powerful. Viltrumites have been calculated to be like massive FTL in their travel speed and combat speed. We know their smart atoms allow them to adapt to certain elements and damage types and stuff like that. So we know, like, for example, Mark and Thrag were able to like fight on the sun for an extended period of time before they eventually started taking damage. They can resist other things too. But despite everything, like even those insane feats of them like flying through the planet and destroying it, even though that was a feat that took a lot of help, even with everything like that, one thing Viltrumites lack: magical resistances, hex resistances to be exact with you. This is a major problem because if you guys even touch Destiny, you know that there are hacks galore because of a little thing I like to call paracausality. So what is paracausality? Well, let me explain it to you. So I found this definition on a forum somewhere, but I think it's a very good description of paracausality. So let's read it together. Paracausality is basically a neologism, a new word that Bungie created for this game. It's basically a synonym for magic, but more for the kind of magic that is associated with gods and other supernatural beings. Not that we associate with wizards or sorcerers. It basically refers to the ability to create events that are not subject to the laws of cause and effect, causality. Physics is literally the science of cause and effect. PBS's YouTube series on astrophysics and cosmology, space-time, refers to the speed of light as the speed of causality. So when you refer to events that are not subject to the laws of physics, the paracausal, you are basically referring to magic. We Guardians have the ability to will certain events into being that are outside physical laws. Guardians make their own fate, while the glass rate, and that ability to divorce ourselves and our actions from prior conditions is the reason why the Vex can't simulate light or Guardian actions. The paracausal ability that the darkness gives to the Hive is also why Oryx was able to eventually subdue the Vex incursion into his throne world that Crota was tricked into causing in the Book of Sorrows. Or if you want a more dumbed down definition, you can just read this. This is extremely dumbed down. This is like the dumbest way I can put it. And here are two class items from the game that kind of give you a more deep explanation into kind of how it works. So yeah, take time and read over these briefly. They're not long, but they kind of give you an example of paracausality as well. On to the next part. So the light and dark operate in the realm of metaphysics. Now, what the hell is metaphysics? Good question. Let's give you a definition. Metaphysics, the branch of philosophy that deals with the first principles of things, including abstract concepts such as being, knowing, substance, cause, identity, time, and space. That is a very simple definition of metaphysics. And now on to my favorite part of talking about Destiny characters and scaling. So, since the Hive are beings of darkness, they possess ontological power. Now, what in the hell is ontological power? Good question. So, let's define ontology first. Ontology, the branch of metaphysics dealing with the nature of being. Ontology, a central branch of metaphysics. Ontology is the study of the nature of being, becoming, existence, or reality, as well as the basic categories of being and how they relate to each other. In simple terms, ontology investigates what there is. So, earlier I touched on how the Hive had ontological power, ontological weapons, etc., etc. So let's explain what these ontological weapons and power would actually do. Ontology is the field of metaphysics that centers around studying the nature of being, becoming, existence, and reality. When something is pinned as ontological, it means that thing is associated with the concept of existence itself. Ontological weapons are something that should frighten you to your core, because their purpose is literally to erase any trace of you from ever existing in the timeline you were created in. It would be like plucking a puzzle piece from a board, and the resulting hole getting filled in from all angles as if it were never there in the first place. Currently, there is no way to produce a real ontological weapon, since they are purely acausal, paracausal in nature. The Hive, with taken by proxy, and the Vex are the two races we know of aside from the Guardians who utilize such devices. The only ontological weapon that Guardians use that I currently think of is Vex Mythoclast, but I'm sure there's more. Or if there is more, the light and dark themselves are stated to be ontological.
As a light bearer, your very thoughts propel an ontological force.
So yeah, the statement you heard came from the Nine. If you don't know, the Nine in Destiny are considered some of the most powerful beings within the Destiny universe, and they for a fact are credible sources within Destiny. So this is just straight up confirmed. Light and dark are ontological forces. They determine what is, what isn't, etc., etc. They operate within around metaphysics. So yes, the Hive have power like this on standby, and they will not hesitate to use it against the Viltrumites. So I want to kind of lay out some conditions that I'm thinking about. So since this is the entire Hive as a composite, I will be using Zevoraph, Savathun, and Oryx. Also, I'm going to be using Zevoraph at her strongest. That would be from Season of the Witch. Savathun at her strongest. This means that I'm using Savathun from Witch Queen with the Light and her Lucent Brood, and Oryx the Taken King, obviously from the Taken King DLC. So, how in the world do the Viltrumites actually stop anything I just named? They don't have any hex resistance, and since they really don't have any notable hex resistances against things that I just named that operate within the realm of metaphysics, they're not going to be able to stop things such as the power to take. How do they stop that? There's no counter to it. Oryx would essentially like pull up to the Viltrumites and be like, yeah, I'm going to take them all. Just like he did to the Awoken. He's going to like unleash his power to take, and if he even takes one Viltrumite, that Viltrumite is not amped to all hell and is going to mollywop the Viltrumite race by itself. But Oryx could just take all of Viltrum. But I guess since the fight is actually kind of saying the Viltrumites are going to pull up to Fondament, I'm assuming Oryx would still just take the entire Empire if they were to show up. They have no resistance and no counter to this at all. Like, there's no resistance they have. I looked. They don't have any stupid, powerful, like, magical hex resistance. They just don't. That's the downfall of the Viltrumites when it comes to this battle. Not to mention, we have to touch on things of the throne worlds that each of the Hive gods have. I want to kind of touch on that. So, of course, throne worlds exist within the Ascended Plane, and let's just touch on Oryx's throne world. In Oryx's throne world, not only does he have the ability to project it out into the physical world, within his throne world, you have things such as his whole court, the War Priest. You have the Daughters of Oryx, who literally can kill axioms, and that's absolutely cracked, because if you guys don't know, axioms are quite literally they're like close to the top of like the whole metaphysical scaling. The only thing that goes further than axioms would just be ontology itself. So that's quite insane that even people who aren't Oryx have this ability, because they're wielders of darkness. They're just absolutely fucking cracked. So yeah, I don't really understand what the Viltrumites are supposed to do. And then there is so much more to get into when it comes to the Hive God scaling, because I have to get into like Savathun and Zevoraph individually and what they can do. But pretty much, just for short, Zevoraph is the Hive God of war, conflict, destruction, whatever the fuck. Simply by the Viltrumites trying to invade, they would be passively making her stronger. And then she could also just literally dump the Ascended Plane on them. There's nothing that the Viltrumites will be able to do. Oryx can also do this too. Like I said, he could just use the power to take. Savathun has light curses, things like that. I don't see a clear path to victory here for the Viltrumites. But I know you guys probably are going to be like, well, you didn't really get on any of their physical stats and what they can do. The Viltrumites just speed blitz. Okay, so let's talk about physical stats here and who the Hive gods and their armies should have to scale to. Oh yeah, they scale to Guardians, who have all of the same hacks I just named, and they have to fight them all the time. Let me just give you an example of how busted Guardians are. Oh, this part is going to be fun. So, what if I told you that the Hive have possible immeasurable speed scaling? Because, read this void description. I went as far as to actually go on the game and just like take a picture of it with my phone. This isn't wank. This is just a description of void. Guardians also walk around with some pretty busted weapons that they use against the Hive, like Graviton Lance, which shoots literal black holes. Yeah, Guardians walk around with pretty busted weapons, like guns that shoot suns. Like, by the way, Hive, especially Hive gods, they tank this stuff because it takes 6 of us to beat them. Also, in terms of power, Oryx should be stronger than anything the Vex have on hand, at least at the time of the Taken King. He should be stronger than anything they can muster. That means anything out of Water Glass, Oryx should be stronger than. Yeah, because like in lore, the Vex couldn't stop Oryx. They just couldn't simulate him. They couldn't find a way to beat him. So he should scale above everything you just read. And also, here's another definition of like the Gorgons and what they can do. Oryx is stronger than that. Yeah, let that sink in. And in actuality, like all the Hive guys would get to scaling because even after Oryx, they just keep getting stronger. Zivu should be stronger. Savathun should be stronger. So they would get the same scaling also. So it doesn't really matter. But also too, the power to take is strong enough to like affect and destroy like the Pyramidion. And we're finna get into that scaling real quick. But if you guys don't know what the Pyramidion is, stick around. I'm gonna explain it to you.
You should now be entering a Hilbert space, if the Taken have not misaligned the Pyramidion space geometric intuitions.
Gesundheit.
I did not sneeze, you fool. It is an infinite dimensional functional space. The Vex often... Oh, why am I wasting my breath?
And keep in mind of being like Oryx is strong enough to like affect or destroy the entire Vex network if he wanted to. He just chose to take it, but if he wanted to destroy it, he definitely could have. That's why the Vex were kind of in panic mode and were trying to find a way to beat him. Sadly, they could not. So this means that Oryx should be bare minimum a high hyperversal being, and the Hive god should also scale. But really, Oryx is transcendental compared to them, so he would be outer versal. So with the rest of the Hive gods. But yeah, the Hive win in a complete stomp. But I just wanted to give my thoughts on this whole matchup. But really, it wasn't really for the matchup. It was just more so to put some respect on Destiny scaling because there's a lot of downplay out there. At least be considerate and read the lore before you kind of just say Destiny characters don't have anything impressive. They don't have any AP. They don't have any good durability or anything like that. Everything I just says different. All it takes is just understanding the lore and reading it, or at least taking it into consideration. But a lot of people don't do that. But however, I will. So this is kind of like the second video to me defending power scaling in a way, but it was more so like the Destiny edition. But yeah, I have fun making this, even though I made this completely on TikTok because I was away from my computer, so bear with that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and if you want more stuff like this, let me know. Stick around because I'll be doing plenty more videos about like power scaling, and I'll also be doing gameplay commentary still. So yeah, it's been Super Green Bay, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.